Hello all and welcome to the channel. Today I am taking a look at the beast of a game, Barrage. Now, this is 1 to 4 players. It's heavier complexity. It's going to take you sort of 3.5 hours for this one. And I'm just going to dive straight in. So here we have one side of the board, which is my preferred. It's got all the landscape, and once you start to know the game better, you can kind of know the values of the pipelines, how the water flows, where you're going to put your powerhouses, what have you. And I like to use these dice here, which remind me what the values are of these pipelines. You can, which is probably recommended for the first game, use this side of the board, which is a bit more vibrant with the colours of the pipelines. You can see the basins and the costs there, and it clearly helps you figure out exactly where things are going. But for now, I'm just going to go back to this side here. So setup then. You are, and it's a beast of a game. I can't fit everything in, so I'm going to focus on this main board first. So to begin with, you're going to be placing some of these tiles at the top, and this is going to dictate how much water is going to flow through the game. So you can see round 1, 0, 1, 0 and 0. So you pop these little tokens on here, and there's loads of other setup. I'm just giving you a bit of an insight what is the theme of this game. This water is going to funnel through these basins, and this is the mountainous zone here in grey, and it's going to funnel down through these little dams which are currently unoccupied. It's going to flow into this sort of basin area here, and you've got 3 more of these basins. It's then going to funnel down into the grasslands, which is represented by here by the green, and this water is going to flow off, and you are, as CEOs of national companies, trying to make the most energy from this water by building the dams. Now, the initial setup is going to randomly distribute a level 1 base on one of these 4 basins. So let's say it goes there. It's going to have a level 2, which is a basin, and an elevation, which is going to go somewhere randomly on here. Let's just place that there. And then you're going to have a base and 2 elevations on one of these bottom 3 ones. And this is kind of the neutral opponent, which you can make the most of the water that flows through there. So the water's going to come down. Let's say it gets stuck here. Each one will have a starting water there, just to give you a sort of head start. And the notion is water funnels down. Let's say it goes from here. It gets to there. This is a value 1. It's 1 height, so it can store 1 water. Obviously there's 1 already there, so it's going to overflow, come down here to the next sort of barrier, which is the dam here, and it stops there because that is level 3. It's got 3 elevations, well, 2 elevations on the base, which means capacity is 3. This is a capacity of 2, and that's important because the water flowing through might skip someone's dam and then come to your dam. So bear that in mind. Okay, so that's a bit of the setup. So as you go throughout the game, you're going to be building these bases. You can go on here, you pay the number of workers and the raw materials, which I'll go through shortly. If you go on anything that's red on this side of the board, it's going to cost you free money. So you can see these powerhouses are going to cost you free money. So let's say you go here, you built your dam, pay free money, next player goes. They're like, right, that water is going to potentially overflow here and go into here. I want to make the most of that. And you can see these little spots here for conduits. Now, conduits are all about moving the water and storing it as energy as it goes to what's known as a powerhouse. So let's say greens on their future turn build a powerhouse, and they're going to build that here. And again, it's slightly hard to see on the camera there, but it's kind of a little grey outline of a building. That's got no cost other than the materials to build it. If you go on a red one, that's going to cost you free money. So these guys can now use this powerhouse to transport water from this dam here. Let's hypothetically say there's a water. They can move it through this pipeline over to here. Now, actually, there isn't a way to move it here because this pipeline goes yellow to there. That green one connected here is from here. And this little white one, or grey one should I say, there isn't actually a conduit on that side. You notice there's 2 sides to it. So hypothetically, they've mislocated and they're going to have to build more infrastructure to get that water into energy through a conduit to their powerhouse. So let's hypothetically say it was this side instead. They could transport this water here through the conduit, through this grey line, which is value 1, and they have 1 energy. They've turned it into 1 energy, and that's crucial. And I'll talk all about energy and what you're trying to do with that shortly. I'm just trying to give a good demonstration of the flow of infrastructure components. Now, this opponent's conduit, you can move water through opponent's conduits, and they are going to get a victory point and money from you. You know, the victory point is just off generic, but the money comes from you for each water that flows through that, potentially up to 3, which is powerful. Now, if pink had have built a powerhouse here to transport this water, they couldn't, because it's not their dam. Technically, this water is controlled by the green player here. So you need to have a powerhouse controlled by the same person with the dam. A conduit can be controlled by anyone, and that's just a sneaky way to get in there to help move the water, and you can get victory points and money that way. So very important to take that into consideration. Right, so let's just say this was the setup. Pink's getting a little bit frustrated here. They're like, right, green's getting all the water's flowing down here, it's bumping over here, and they're getting to transport. Even though I'm getting some money and victory points, what can I do? Well, maybe they're going to go and build another dam. So they take one of their bases, and they're deciding to place it. How can we funnel water from here? Let's place it down here maybe. No, we can't go there. So we're looking for water to come out of here into somewhere else. Well, let's say we go right for the source. We go right at the top here. So any water now that comes through this one in particular is going to get hit by this one. Probably not the best location actually, because I'm funneling it into here. Let's say this one's more powerful. So any water coming into here is going to get stored on this dam now. And if I manage to build a conduit here, well, let's say here, and a powerhouse down here, I can now use my conduit to move this water into this powerhouse, which then drops into this dam. So I've kind of redirected the water. So no longer will the water flow down here and then build up for this player. So you're kind of using the different levels to control the direction of that water. Now, it's not to say this will never get any water, because they might decide to build a dam here as well. Let's say they go and build green a dam here. And that water that's now funneled into here is going to hit this dam, and they're going to use it to siphon off back to here. So you can see there's different parts of the board that move the water around, and that is the key to the game, is controlling where this water goes. So, you know, they've then relocated that back down here, and then the overskips there, and they're trying to reuse that water. You have to be mindful, because if there's not dams to stop it, these guys process it here, it then kind of just keeps flowing, ends up hitting this one. If it hits past 3, it's just going to go out of the game. So that's the power of bases, stopping the water, which is your dam. You want to build extra levels so you can host more water in there. You need these conduits in certain places to funnel the water for energy, and you need the powerhouses that are going to do that. And obviously they have to match up. So that is a bit about the board there. So let's just move this board aside for a second. How are you going to, well, where are you going to get all those from? So each player will have one of these national sort of corporations, and you're controlling it with one of one of the players that you're a CEO. And this is where you're going to get all the bases from, all the elevations, all the conduits, and all the powerhouses. Now, you start the game with a bit of, you know, selection. You've got this chap here, you've got that chap and another lady, and they all have some very different boards. And as you reveal these components, kind of reminds you there what you could potentially get. You're going to get the bonus immediately and every income phase, which is massive. Now, each of those comes with kind of one of these little cards, and they've got a special ability, kind of reminds you how the game phase works. And as you reveal these powerhouses, eventually you're going to get to this third one. And that means you'll have a special ability at the bottom here, which is unique to each player for the rest of the game. So you kind of rush in to maybe get that out. Maybe you're not fussed about it. So that's kind of a little bit about each of your CEOs and how they're represented in this national company. You'll also bolt on one of these executives, which is great, adds more variety. And there's a host of these. And basically that's going to go on the end. And each one's got a special ability at the bottom here and a place to store your resources and credits. Now, these boards, as you reveal one of these bases, you put it on the map. As you reveal more, you can see you immediately get free money and every income phase. And gradually, you know, you've got more of these out. There's victory points. There's ways to move this here, which I'll go through. So loads of juicy little benefits hiding under there. Now, actually building these is going to cost you. And the way this works is you can see if you want to build one of these bases, you go from left to right. And depending on where you want to build it, if you want to build it in the lower level of green, it's going to cost you 3 of these kind of machineries, which are here. So you take 3 of these from your stash. So they would be on this one here. You take 3 of those, if you had them, you put them on this kind of rondelle. Now, you've got 4 actions you can do, and it's kind of a bit like Windmill Valley, if you guys have played that, even though this game was before that. So you've got these 4 things you could do. Now, in the base game, which is, well, this is the base game, but I mean, when you play the beginner level, you get an extra one of these, which is a question mark. But when you get good at the game and it's advanced, you only have these 4 here, which is you're trying to make optimal use of them. So let's say we want to build a base then. So we take this one, we pop it in here, we put the relevant resources, which in this case is free because we want to build on the grasslands. We then move this one, and that is now on our sort of machinery cog here. We can't get that back until it's full cycled through. Another player goes, it's come back to you, and you're like, right, I want to build something else. Now, you're going to need a number of workers to do all these actions. And you can see you start with 12. We'd have to place a worker there, and you can see it says you're going to be placing one of these tiles down. The next tile you're going to put down is going to cost you 2 workers, then 3, and then 3 workers with some money expenditure as well. Now, as you place these on, let's say you want to build a powerhouse, you take that from here, you can see the costs are here. Your first one's going to cost 2, all the way up to your 4th, which is going to cost you 5 of these grey machineries. And the key thing here is you're not actually losing these, you're just delayed. Well, you put them on here and you will get them back, but they're delayed. So once they come full circle, they'll come back out of here and you can put them back in your supply. To build conduits, you're typically going to need the brown resources, 2 per energy. This particular executive lets me use grey instead. To build your elevations, you can see you're going to need this kind of concrete machinery to go in various denominations, the higher up. And we've gone through the bases as well. So let's say it's back to me. I've built this one. I spend a number of grey, however many that is, spin that round. And that is kind of your board here. You're limited to these, but there is options to buy more. Right, so that is your player board, which is going to be key. Now, they do vary a lot, and you kind of want to play into the strengths of them to really maximize and get the most. So over to the management board, and I just could not fit all of this in, guys. So this is why I'm doing it step by step. So this is where you're going to go and use your workers to do a host of things. So at the top then, this is where you can send a number of workers, let's say 2 workers, and you can go and produce energy. Now, remember when I said on the board, that water flowed from your dam through yours or someone else's conduit to one of your powerhouses. And depending on the colour of the pipeline, it determines how much energy you're going to get for each water. So if it's a green one, I think green was 2, that's 2 energy for each water. All that water, plus depending on some of these bonuses here, gives you like a sum. So this is how you're going to go to actually do that action, actually move the water from the dam down to the powerhouse. You go here, and that is called the turbine station. Great. You've got this power. What are you going to do with it? Well, I'll go through how all the power works shortly on a separate board. Down here, you've got water management. So this is where you can pump one water straight in from the top all the way down, and wherever it lands up, it could be beneficial for you, hopefully. This one here, you put 1 worker and you can get 2 water at the top of the basins there, and that will filter through at the end of a round. You could go here, each person 1 money. Now it's typical worker placement. You know, once you're there, no one else can go there. And there is spots to the side where you can go and put 2 workers in this case to do the same action with a cost. So very expensive to do so, but it's there as an option. As many players who ever want to go there can go and get a coin per worker. The workshop then is letting you move. So this sort of rondelle here, it's slow progress moving this when you add new ones. So, you know, 1 worker gets you 1 movement. You can spend more money to move it up to 3 times maybe. So really powerful options here. The machinery shop is how you're going to get more of these resources because they're very limited. They're stuck in here, and you may be going to use a movement strategy, or you're just going to try and get more resources. So you go here, 1 worker, 2 money to get one of those wooden, not necessarily wood, but one of the brown machineries. And at the bottom then, the final location is contracts, which are key to the game in giving you loads of juicy benefits when you provide energy and meet these. So thematically speaking, you've gained contracts from local companies, and you'll tell them you're going to provide the energy, and they're going to pay you either in money or more additional benefits. Now, there's 3 different layers: green, yellow, and red. They progressively get more energy required and some nice benefits on there. The game starts with some national contracts as well, which are the purple ones, and slightly different. These you say go here, you take one, you put it above your board, and once you power up with the turbine action, if you hit this figure or more, and you can have up to 3 of these in front of you, so just kind of pick and choose, then you've completed it and you get the benefit. Whereas this one is the first player out of anyone to hit 13 energy or more, and they just take it and they've completed it there and then. Now, these are great. They give you, extra machinery, victory points. You actually put out infrastructure on various places with no cost and not needing the action to do that. And these will refill as well after you've taken your turn. So this is the management board. It's how you're going to do your stuff, where you're going to place your workers, as well as on your board to put those tiles around. What else have we got there? Let me shuffle that aside. So in terms of those 4 tiles you had that you can move around here, your sort of basic tiles, you can go to this sort of executive technology location. And on here, you've got to have level 1s, you're going to have level 2s, and level 3s. And these are going to sort of open up from round to round, and they give you game-breaking abilities, guys. So they're going to take you 2 workers and 5 money to purchase this, and this is yours. And I'm not going to go through them all, but you can see this one, for every elevation you build, including the one you build, you get a free spin. Super. This one's going to add water every time you build a dam there, or every time you get a dam or an elevation to it, depending on the elevation. This one's going to let you build a powerhouse, but you don't need to use workers to do the action. You just put them down, spend the resources, done. And these get more powerful from round to round as you get level 2s and 3s. So awesome. Right, next up then, I was talking about energy. So let me just make a little bit of space then. This track here, which I'll hopefully get that in the view, is how you're going to track your energy. So once you have used that turbine action and you've moved, say, free water through one of those conduits, you've powered it down, it might even be for a red pipeline, which is valued 5 energy per water. So you've gained 15. You're going to keep track of that on here. So this is the turn order on the side. Let's say it was whites, they've gained 15. So boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You go all the way up here to 15. Now, at the beginning of the game, these are randomly distributed, and you're going to have some bonus tiles on here, which are a great way to get points, and they really give you focus as to what you're trying to do throughout the game. Now, to achieve these bonus ones is areas. You've got the round, so 1 to 5 there. You don't put anything on this first one. And the way you're going to score these is at the end of a round, once you've done all your actions, if you have hit beyond this 6, you can see it's kind of electrical impulse going along. So you need to get at least up to the 6 to have a chance of scoring them. So yellows are currently on 15. So in the first round, which would be really impressive to get to 15, I doubt that's going to happen, you're going to have a chance to score this one. And that's 4 points for each sort of special technology tile you have acquired. On round 2, you're going to need to get to this level here to be able to score this one. Now, if hypothetically you were lower down, as long as you're higher than this 6 or on it, you can score the next round up, but you're going to get -4 points as well. So let's say this is the case, you've got 3 powerhouses out there, you're going to score 15 points minus the 4. So you're trying to ebb into the right areas from round to round to avoid these negative points. Now, you can never go below 0. It's just a way to add on points. Now, crucially, you're trying to beat your opponent on this energy track as well, because as you go up here, at the end of a round, you're going to get 6 points for being the furthest ahead and 2 points for being second there. So there's a bit of a race to get up, get more money at the end of a round as well. So if you're up here, you're going to get 7 money rather than this player only getting the 3 money. So that's why it's important to be moving all this water, not only to get the bonuses from the contracts, but it's to get up here, which gives you financially more money, more victory points for completing these goals, and you're beating your opponent to get more points there. The only catch-up mechanism is if you're second, you're going to be first on the next round. So it kind of goes backwards. Now, if you don't actually get any energy, not only have you not sort of hit this 6 criteria to achieve any of these, but you're going to be getting -3 victory points, and you're not even competing for this 2 victory points here. So you kind of want to get some energy off the mark, but you do get free money trying to build and compensate for that. So that's a little bit about this board. Now if I stroll to the side, there's also an end game one and there's a host in the game, and you add these on and it's something just to aspire to in the game. In this case, it looks like you have at least one or more infrastructure in each area of the board. Whoever has the most different varied areas or frequency is going to score points there. And that is all the components. So in terms of how a round is going to play out, which is all on your player board here, you're going to start with income, which is where you're looking at your player board and whatever is visible, boom, you get to take. You're then going to move all that water drops from the top of the board, flow it down, and that's the water done. You're then going to do all your actions, which you've kind of gone through. You place out your 12 workers. Be very careful that you have 12 workers. There's games where you've accidentally left one out there, you forgot to bring it in. Don't do that. You've done all your actions. You're then going to do the water flows. So the water's going to, sorry, the first one was where you put water at the top. This is when the water's going to flow down. So the water flows down and you see where it ends up. You're then going to score VPs for these areas here. You're then going to get money. You're going to replenish these sort of boards here, and you're going to reset these to 0. End of the round, you figure out who's first, etc. Take all your engineers back, and then you crack on from round to round. Now there is 5 rounds. At the end of 5 rounds, obviously you're going to score up. Now most of the points in this game are throughout the game with these sort of bonuses here. You are going to score 5 to 1 for all your resources that are not on your board. You can't be having them in here. They have to sort of be separate. Your money, your resources, 5 to 1. You're going to score this sort of end game objective here. And any water that's left by you, your particular dam is 1 point as well. And that's pretty much it, guys. Now, there's a lot going on. I would love to have kind of shown you all of it in one camera view. I'm kind of trying to break it down. But once you get your head in the notion that the main board, the water's flowing down, how am I going to use my infrastructure to block this water, funnel it in the right ways I want it to go, to get energy, because I need the energy to go up here. I need the energy to complete those contracts. Where am I going to go on the management board to do this, achieve this, get the resources I need, get the money I need to get those extra tiles? How am I going to get the work, the machinery off my player board there? These cost a lot of resources. How are you going to use your player ability to do that? So how are you going to move this? So there's so many amazingly crunchy decisions, or amazing crunchy decisions to be thought about. And that's what's truly inspiring about this game. At its core, it's a worker placement game. You place your workers out, you get something. But then you've got that development of the board and building things, and then that dynamic nature of someone else blocks the water and moves the water over here. So how am I then going to combat that, overcome that and build maybe further up? But then I need more resources to do so. Your player abilities, really making the most of those for your strategy is key. It just gives you a heads up on that particular thing you do. There's been games where, infrastructure heavy, just getting it all out to reveal these sort of income phase and immediate bonuses is amazing. If you can get up to one of these first, say all your conduits out, you're getting 7 plus 2 is 9 points each income phase, which, over the 5 rounds, you're not likely to do in your first round, but 30, 40 points for achieving that. And there's just lots of variety. All of this mingles in. There's not been one game, and I've played this like 5-6 times now. I've tried it 2 players, I've tried it 3 players. I probably would try 4 players. It really opened up the management board there, but probably a bit longer than I would like. Solo, yet to try, but I've heard really good things about this, and I could really see how it would work solo. But in terms of that 2-3 player mark, it works amazingly well. And the time frame, yes, 3 hours has been about right, really, where this one's come in. And each game really has felt different because of the location of infrastructure on that board, the variations of how the water flows from round to round with the top tiles there and where they're going to fill certain basins. Your player abilities, the objectives here are varied. These are random as well as to what comes out when, and the actual player abilities on here. So the whole thing just oozes variety. You could play this probably like 20, 30 times and still have loads of fun with how am I going to manipulate and figure out this best strategy for me with what I have been dealt with. there we are, guys. Barrage, you have to give it a go. There's loads of extra expansions as well to be added on. And they have also got the big box edition coming out soon. Enjoy.